Hello everybody, how are you? In this video we're gonna talk about GPO or Group Policy Management. Group Policy Management and the domain controller is the most important reason that push the big companies and many companies to pay a lot of money just to using Windows Server and not using Unix and Linux, because just in the Windows Server there is something called domain controller and Active Directory and the group policy object. So it is very important. Now what's the group policy? Group policy is just like a rules or policies that for security, using for security. The administrator can make a security setting or can implement a security configuration on the client computer in the network. So it is for the security. For example, I have the user, I have many computers, and those computers and the user, you can see here in the Active Directory, I have Active Directory. Inside Active Directory we have hundreds of users and computers joined to the domain controller. We talked about that in the previous lecture. So administrator can implement a group policy and security configuration to all the users and computers in the Active Directory. So the GPO or group policy object and Active Directory work together. The group policy object implement on the organizational unit. We have organizational unit in the domain controller, and inside those organizational unit we have users and users, especially users, right? Or also we can add a computers in the organizational unit. So we can implement the GPO, the group policy, on all the organizational units. So every computers or every users inside the organizational unit will affected by the GPO or by the group policy that apply for the or implement for the organizational unit. A group policy, we have hundreds of a group policy. For example, or the most important thing, I can prevent user to using the control panel. For example, the administrator not need to allow the user to using control panel or command line. Maybe make an harmful to the computer or something like this. That I just restrict the user. I using GPO to restrict the user. I just let the user to do what he should do in the company and restrict every other thing. So, for example, I can prevent him to using control panel and also I can implement the code or script. For example, when the user log into the computer, I want to run the program, for example, the calculator or the Excel or whatever. Now go to the server. On the server, just Control Alt Insert, T20, enter. And now I want to go to the client, Control Alt and Insert. Now I have Osama. I want to insert the Osama. You remember Osama CSD Jihan 2021 and enter. We create this user in the previous lecture. If you didn't see the previous lecture, you should go to see this lecture. Now I insert to the Osama or log into the Osama. Now you can see Osama. I can do anything here, right? For example, I can using the control panel. I can access the control panel here. I can go everywhere in the control panel. Also, I can access the CMD and command line. For example, just say ipconfig to know the IP address of the computer. I can see the IP address. I can implement or I can write any command. So now I want to prevent Osama to do this thing. The first thing I want to prevent Osama to using the control panel. Now in the server manager, just go to the tools. You know how we can open the Active Directory just from tools and Active Directory user and computer. Now you can see I have Osama, I have HR, and I have Osama in the HR, right? Now I want to open the group policy just from the tools, and you can see just group policy management. Click on the group policy management to open the group policy management windows. Now you can see group policy management like Active Directory, because this group policy will implement to the Active Directory or the computers and users in the Active Directory. So I have forest, In the forest I have domains. I have just one domain, lab.com. Open the lab.com. First thing you can see, default domain policy, and I can see here the HR, the organizational unit that I created in the domain controller. I can see it here also. Now the default domain policy, this domain policy will implement to all the domain lab.com. If I have HR and I have another of the organizational unit, HR, IT, and so on, will implement to every computers and even to the server here. So the default domain policy I want to open, just right click on the default and edit. Now I want to do something here. You can see here computer configuration and user configuration. The most important thing we have user configuration. The computer configuration will implement to the computers, not on the user and the specific user, but on the computers. Any user can access this computer, Usama, Ahmed, or any user will see the group policy implement to the computer. But the user configuration, that means I want to add the group policy to the specific user, to the particular user, not all the computer. For example, I add the policy to the Ahmed or to the organizational unit called HR. So every user inside the HR will affect to this group policy, but the user in the IT can access this computer without any effect by the group policy. So now go to the computer configuration, because I want to change the password here. I want to work with the password. Just go to the computer configuration, policies. After that, Windows setting, and then you can see security setting, account policies, just pay attention, password policies, and then you can see here minimum password age and minimum password maximum and minimum password age. I can change it. For example, the minimum password age 42 days. That means after 32 days the password will expire and the user or the administrator should change the password. Minimum password age just 1 day. Minimum password length. When I add the user and add the password for the user, I should add the password at least 7 characters. Now I want to change that. For example, just double click and I make it, for example, 3. Now I can add a password that consists from just 3 characters. And okay, go here. Password must meet complexity requirement. Complexity requirement, that means the password should have a letter, a capital, small, and number, and so on. Should be complicated. Should be complicated password. If you want to explain, just click here. You can see explain about it. Now I want to disable this. I want to add any password. For example, just 123. If you want to do that, just OK. Now I implement this. I do this. I just can go out and now go to the Active Directory and I want to create a new user. Now I want to create a new organizational unit, for example, or you can create a user here, but just I want to implement I want to show you when I implement the group policy on the just one organizational unit, and you can see other user or another user in the another organizational unit will not affect by the group policy. So I want to create a new group policy, but you can create hundreds or thousands of users in the just one organizational unit, just from a new, and same thing, go to the user. But I want now to add a new organizational unit, just a new, and you can see organizational unit. For example, I name it IT, and okay, inside this I want to add another user, new, and user, for example Ahmed. Also the login name Ahmed, and next. Now I can add just 123 and here just 123. Before I configure the group policy and make it just a 3 character and disable the complexity, I cannot do that. If I make it a 3 and not a complex password, will not accepted will not accepted by the computer or by the domain controller. Now I disable this and next and finish. Now I can create user with just a 3 character and 1 2 3. Now there is no complexity, there is no capital or small and so on, or number, just a number. Now I create the user. Now I want to make or implement the group policy on the user. Just go to the group policy here. Just make a refresh. Now you can see we have also IT here. I want to create a group policy on the IT. Just create a group, a GPO, that means group policy object, in the domain and link it here. Now I will make it, for example, cPanel. You can name it anything here, but it is for prevent users using the cPanel, so I can make it cPanel. And okay. Now I have a group policy, not for the HR, just for the IT. Just right click and edit the group policy. And now go to the user configuration, policies, administrator template, control panel. After that, you can see here, control panel, you can prohibit access to control panel and the PC setting. Now, just double click on it. And it is not configured. That means if it is in the computer, in the local computer, if it is enabled, that means will still enable in the local computer. If it is disabled, that means will be disabled. But if I make it enable, that means even in the local computer, the user configure it as the disabled, will be enabled and forced to enable because from the server. If I disable it, even if the user make it enable in the computer, in the local computer, will be disabled because the server disable it from the server. Now enable, I mean I enable this group policy, I enable this rule, I enable this policy. That means I want to prevent user to access the control panel. And now just apply and okay. Now I make this. Now just pay attention, I implement this for what? For which user? I mean, if you go here, you can see just for the IT, not the HR. But Osama now in the HR, and in the IT there is Ahmed, right? Now with the Osama, I can do everything, no problem with Osama. But if I go to the Ahmed, now just right click, switch user. I want to access the computer as Ahmed now, Ahmed, and I change the password just 123, right? I make it now. Now I access or log into the computer as Ahmed. Now if you want to go to the control panel, see, now I cannot see the control panel here, right? Also if you try to write the control panel here, control panel, see I can see it, but if I click on it, I want to open it, you can see the operation or this operation has been cancelled due to restriction in effect on this computer. Please contact your system administrator. This effect not on the computer but on the user, because now if I change the user, I will go there, switch user, control alt and insert, and log in as Osama again. Osama CSD Jihan 2021. I log in as Osama. Now Osama, you can see, just go to the control panel, I can access it because I work with the user configuration. So just affect the user, not all the computer. Now Ahmed cannot access it, Osama can access it. Also I will go to the Osama now. Again, open the group policy. I can make many of the organizational unit, or I can make multiple group policy on the one organizational unit. But now I want just to, for example, to add in the HR, Osama there in the HR, create GPO, and for example CMD, because I want to prevent Osama to using the CMD, the command line. Okay, and just go to the HR and CMD, right click, edit, go to the user configuration, policies, and then administrator template, and here we have system, and you can see here prevent access to the command prompt. Just double click on it and then enable. As I said, if it is not configured, that means it is according to the what the user make it in the local computer. If make it enable, that means will still enable. If it disable, that means will still disable. If I from the server not configure it. But if I make it enable, that means will be enforced to enable this this rule or this policy. If I disabled, will be enforced the user to disable this in the computer, in the local computer. Now I just enable, that means I enable this policy. That means I will prevent user to add to access the command line. Just okay. If I want to go now here, it is implement for the Osama, and now I am Osama here, right? I can just switch off or restart the computer, or just from run. If I want to implement it, just from run and just type here GP update. That means group policy update. I want to download the group policy from the server to the client. So if I want to implement the group policy to the computer, there is two ways to do that. The first one, just restart the computer, the client, or just go to the run and GP update. In the run, you can see now updating policy. I want to download the policy from the server. Now just take seconds, and user policy update has completed successfully. Now if you try again and try to see the CMD command line and try to access the command line here, now I can see the command prompt has been disabled by your administrator. Press any key to continue. If I want to do anything, to type anything, just exit automatically from the group command line. If I want to disable this, I can right click and link enable. Just go again here, edit, and you can go to the group policy again and disable it. Administrator and system, and you can see prompt here, and just disable it or make it not configured. That means will be disabled from the client. Okay, and also I should go here again, just run again GPO update. After update successfully, I can access the command line easily because I disabled this rule. Just go here and command line. Now I can access the command line. I can type anything, no problem. I have hundreds of group policy. You can see I have a document I download or I upload a document on the model also. In the domain, in this document, you can see 10 of most important, or 8, I think 8 or 7 of most important group policy that you can implement to the client. Also, we have hundreds of another group policy or other group policies you can implement to the client. You can just go to the Google and type whatever you need about the group policy. You can see many of group policy. Now another one very important, if you have a company and there's users on the company or employees in the company on the computers, and you don't want to let the user or employee to access your computer or to using the flash memory or insert the flash memory or any USB device or any removable device and CD-ROM or everything to your computer. It is very important thing because maybe you didn't want the user to for example steal information, steal data from the computer, or download the data from the computer to the flash, or maybe you can transfer a viruses and something from the flash to your computer. So just go to if you want to make like this, I can create another one for the HR, another group policy. For example, I can see USB. I can name it anything, whatever, no problem. And now just right click, edit, and user configuration, policies, administrator template, system also, and you can see storage here, removable storage access. Click on it. Now here you can see many things. But this all removable storage classes deny all access. Deny all access for all removable storage like a CD-ROM, DVD, like CD, like DVD, USB or whatever, or mobile or everything. Just double click on it and enable. Now, after enable it and GPU update, the user cannot access any or cannot insert any of the removable devices. Also, you can, another one, restrict software installation. You can prevent user to install any software in the computer. Maybe the user just install the game, maybe install some software that cause the harm for the computer, or the general just maybe the install the unwanted apps in the computer, right? So you can restrict user or prevent user to using the to install a program or a software. Just the administrator can add the software to the computer. So I can create another one here in the HR or in the IT whenever. Just go here and I can say install, for example, just the name. Again, right click, edit. Now computer configuration, because it is with computer, this I prevent him to using the program here in the computer, and policies and administrator template, and then we have Windows components, Windows installer, Windows, just to try to see like this in the W, Windows installer, click, and you can see here many things or many group policy you can implement, but I want just one. User installs, prohibit users installs, just double click and just enable it if you want, and apply and OK. Now every users in the HR or in the IT, now I implement in the HR, so every users in the HR organizational unit, maybe you have 100 or 1,000 of users in the HR organizational unit. This user cannot install any program in the computer, cannot using the removable drive, any removable, any USB, cannot insert to the computer, cannot access the control panel, cannot access the command line, and so on. So it's very, very important in the real world, in the real company that we have, that that has hundreds of computer or thousands of computer and employee working on this computer, and the administrator want to control all the computer and add a permission or remove a permission to do something in the computers and user. Now in this file here, I add many of the other group policies. I hope it is useful. Thank you very much.